And we're back. I'm here with Aaron, who we just had a. I thought that was awesome. Just a Blightstone Colossus versus a Merit Lash token.
It was very Pacific Rim, like we were doing the kaiju thing for a while there.
Oh,
So
absolutely. That's both of our decks have our giant monster.
pretty much, yeah. Yours was just a little bit bigger. What Blightsteel's one of those cards where it's like sometimes you look back at cards in Magic's history and you're like, what were they thinking? Like, why does it have indestructible? Why does it have trample? Like, who thought this was okay?
Yeah, it really feels like you didn't need to put Undestructible and Trample on the 11/11 creature, but they
Yeah.
did. I kind of love that Vintage is a place where like all of these mistakes that they've made throughout Magic history that only affected Standard for like a week, they just live here forever.
Yeah, and I mean, here's really the format to kind of have that kind of fun,
Speaking of having that kind of fun, I'm sure that you've talked so much about the deck that you played because it's
Yeah.
an awesome deck. I mentioned to Kevin earlier, and we had talked before that I was considering playing this deck too. I think it would have been amazing if we had played a Dredge Shop's Mirror, an
Yeah,
Optical Mirror.
Yeah, it's a really interesting deck. I think the core philosophy of it is that Dredge needs very few cards to actually be considered a Dredge deck. So there's a lot of room there to really play and innovate. And so you see people sometimes fill up their deck with counter spells, or they fill it up with discard spells, or they lean really hard on the Dredge thing or the reanimation thing. And so you really can make that other half of Dredge whatever you want it to be. And so I love that people are kind of playing in that space, and they're doing artifacts, and they're doing lands, and they're doing a loan package. And I think that's great.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it was. I was pretty confident you were going to use the graveyard for something, but when I saw your list, I saw the list, and then I had to go back and check my list. I was like, wait a minute, do I have literally no answers to Merit Launch in my entire deck?
Yeah,
Which
it's tricky. Like I said, I definitely felt a lot of pressure too. And I think Cyrus can kind of attest to this too. When you're kind of known for playing a certain archetype, I do feel like people are counting on you to bring something different to the table. And you do feel like you have to spice it up somehow. And so, I had wanted to play Fate Stitcher Dredge, but I took that during the team event. I didn't really get a chance to play it, but that was what I was going to take. And I was like, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was like, you can't show up with something you've already done before. And I was like, yeah, that's true. And so I did feel this pressure to sort of bring something different, because I thought that was something people were going to be counting on.
All right, it looks like looks like the match is about to start. It's going to be an outcome mirror match, and let's go check that out.
Okay.
All right, let's check out these hands. So these are very similar lists. They're not. It's not a 75 card mirror, but main deck is I don't know, 5 or 6 cards apart.
Yeah. I want to see Sai do something though. I'm here for the Sai.
Yeah, didn't come up in my match. I'm not sure if it came up earlier.
I say that now. I cursed myself last time. I remember during the last show, it was like, I want to see Ugin. And then, of course, Brian wrecked me with Ugin. So I better not say that too loud, or Sai will be the death of me.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Randy's on the play. He looks like Randy's hand it's pretty aggressive and pretty solid, given that Kevin has no counters. Just play all your artifacts.
Yeah.
Play an outcome.
Yeah.
I think he could do it all right now if he wanted to. Has to decide if he wants to spend to break the Lotus now, but
yeah,
could be worth it.
Seems like a pretty big gamble. If I wasn't against another blue deck, I might try it, but
yeah, it'd be real bad if it got forced.
Yeah,
no doubt about that. Kevin hand looks a little slower. It's got that Remora, which is nice for a long game. Night's Whisper, which is nice for a long game. All right. Oh, looks like he's going for it.
Oh boy.
Which we're right. If Kevin had a Forcible, this would be very bad for Randy. But since he doesn't,
Randy's going to call his bluff.
Yeah. 6 cards. I think
I
it
can
was 6
certainly
cards.
I can certainly relate to the whole sort of show me that you have it mentality.
You were playing 2-card Monty, right? Last pod.
Yeah.
That is definitely one of the essence of the you don't have it. I'm just gonna throw threats at you. You run out of counters
It's
eventually.
very invigorating though, like when you do to sort of have that standoff with somebody and to make them have that. There's really nothing like it. So I noticed that Kevin, Randy and I were kind of talking about the outcome decks that run Key Vault versus the ones that don't. It's a very interesting choice.
What's your opinion on it?
I like it, but I don't know enough about outcome to really say. I love that there's different shades though. I like that people are doing different things with outcome. Where you have outcome storm, you have some people. There's a deck going around of paradoxical oath with experimental frenzy. I think somebody on the manager called it hot coffee. And I was like, I would 100% play this, and so it's neat to see people doing different things.
Yeah. Yeah, the time vault key can have a lot of raw power, but it's also, Kevin just has a time vault in his hand. It's not doing anything right now.
Yeah.
So Randy drew a ton of cards and is still up to some nonsense. It's probably not winning right now, but going into
oof.
Yeah, that's
Yawgmoth's Will,
which he could actually cast right now.
Jeez. Storm count 12.
Right? Yeah, no. So Yawgmoth's Will and replay the Lotus and could outcome from the yard.
I take back what I said. I am all for you guys playing Key Vault because at least you pack win conditions. My biggest issue with outcome is that you guys play like one win con, and so I have to wait for 3 outcomes.
So
Storm
weird.
47. I gotta pick up the kids at the sitter. It's like, can we wrap this up? So
I had to respect you for staying in the game against Randy. I concede so fast against an outcome deck. I shouldn't. They're like, oh, you drew 5 cards. They're probably good.
Yeah.
You have it.
I learned that about her. I learned that lesson with Yawgmoth's Bargain too. I used to auto scoop to bargains, and then I started running into people who were bricking after like 15, 16 cards, and I was like, no, you wait this out.
Yeah, it's the right move. It's just you need more self-discipline than I have.
That is something nobody would ever say about me. Randy's still mulling over this top here.
Yeah, I bet he's doing the math on Yoggle right now, which would at least give an outcome, but I don't know if that's worth. It's between that or an incredibly good next turn.
Yeah.
Now, is that a demonic tutor in Randy's hand?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So it's tough, right? With slightly different cards in the deck. If Lotus was still in the deck, you could demonic tutor for Lotus, and then that's probably a win with the Yogg will. But but I don't think he has anything that he could get.
Yeah,
with the demonic.
I do feel like the shields are down though, where like he knows because he got the outcome off that this is sort of the turn where if you're going to do anything, now's the time to go for it. So if I were him, I would certainly be trying everything I could to go for it.
Yeah. So this is on the stack. Randy has 4 mana, a black and 3 colorless. If Randy were to, Randy could put Yoggle on top, draw it, use a black and a colorless to get a Mox Opal with demonic, and then still play Yoggle. I don't know if that makes it any better.
Oh, he's tutoring. Okay.
Now I'm skimming through his list, and I'm willing to bet he already knows what's coming. Yeah, okay, Lotus Petal. Oh, there was 2 floating. So it's the same place, the Opal. But Randy's right. The Petal's definitely better because it's an extra mana after. Oh, the Hercules. Okay.
Oof.
Yeah, that's tons of mana, and the demonic in the yard.
Storm 19. Storm 19.
Yeah, and with the Lotus in there, black mana is not an issue.
No.
Yeah. And that's always tough, right? He has to figure all that out in his head before finishes resolving the top activation. Because if it's off, if you're off by a number, And it served him well, because if Kevin got a single turn, that one Mystic Remora would have.
This is a turn 1 kill.
Yeah.
Welcome to vintage.
Yeah, and Randy's hand looked good, but it didn't look like a turn 1 kill.
And that
so
hand could have gone so poorly. Like, he really did call Kevin's bluff. If Kevin had a force, that hand, the whole Jenga pile would have fell over.
Yeah, you end up drawing a card off top and then putting the top on top and drawing the second top, and be down all kinds of cards. But yeah, just forced Kevin to have it.
Kevin's just drawing.
See,
you need to feel like he's part of it.
Yeah, you gotta feel like you're playing.
All right.
Okay.
Still
Let's
drawing.
see how many turns we can make this whole match.
All right.
So they'll be up in a second, but skimming the sideboards, they both have some number of Mindbreak Trap, some number of Mystic Remora. One significant difference: it looks like Kevin has Lavinia and Randy has Kumbal, which they're probably both bringing those in.
Yeah, and Randy has that Caracas, though, which, gave me a bit of an issue when I was trying to get Mirror Lage out. So that's a concession to Lavinia being in the format and wanting to have an answer to that. I have to say I've been pretty underwhelmed with Mindbreak Trap myself in terms of bringing it against outcome. Competent outcome pilots will dance around it. If you're facing somebody who's less experienced, they'll lock into it. But there have been plenty of times where I've had it, I felt really good, and then they craft their turn in such a way where it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. I always look at Mindbreak Trap and want it. It feels like it should be good, but they know how to make it so that their best spell is not their third spell.
Yeah.
And especially in the VSL, when you know exactly whether or not your opponent has a Mindbreak Trap.
Yeah.
All right, so we do see the Kumbals and the Lavinias coming in. See that balance there for Kevin, which is interesting. I usually think of balance as like an anti-aggro card, but I've certainly seen games where it could just blow a player out by
yeah, I think it was the first game when somebody had the mentor and they were going wild with it. And I remember the other player had a balance, and there was talk about whether you should tutor for that. And that the balance definitely would have come out on the balance player's favor, because you would have gotten rid of the mentor, and the balance player also had less lands. So that would have been a really good situation.
Yeah. As always, one of the least balanced cards in the history of the game. It's ironically, it's like a sarcastic, like, balance. All right.
So Kevin just can't get rid of those key vault pieces. They just keep coming to him.
Yeah. Looks like they both have slightly slower, longer game hands this time.
All right. I love that Knight's Whisper is a vintage all-star.
I know, right? That's a card that's world. I always feel that goes in and out of sometimes it feels amazing, sometimes it feels terrible, and it's all based on like how many other 2-drops you're seeing play right now, and very strange specific things.
Yeah. Keys down. Okay.
Yeah, it's running everything out there, so it doesn't have to spend that mana later. So Preordain with no other blue card hand for the force feels a little risky, but at the same time, he has that Remora, probably going to draw into a blue card if necessary. And that Remora makes Randy's otherwise super easy turn 1 play of Knight's Whisper not as exciting.
No. And Randy's just going to pass the turn.
Yeah, it's tough against Remora. I'm always tempted to wait it out, but Kevin has so much mana so early. It's luring by.
Fluster and force.
Yeah, pretty defensive hand there.
There's Kumbal.
Kumble is kind of painful here because it would be an amazing card to play on this field of Remora, but short both colored mana.
Yeah.
8 cards. We has to decide if discarding or letting Kevin draw something here. What do you think you do?
Oof. I mean, I'm always just down to go for it. But you know, the Remora does give Kevin more fuel for a force of will, or if Randy doesn't know he has one, so Randy might not want to give him one or give him fodder for it. So I think Randy's trying to wait it out. And I'm not sure that's a good idea. Because that allows Kevin to kind of sculpt this hand that can just sort of fight it even when the Remora is gone.
Yeah. All right, let's run the Mana Crypt out there. So by leading with the Mana Crypt, that puts Randy to 4 mana, which means then Randy could play the Jet and pay 4 off Remora if that's what he wants to do, which maybe is happening. And then set up for a bigger turn later.
Yeah. Oh, Kevin found a Mindbreak trap.
Okay, so Randy's not making the conservative play, which is fine. It's probably better than what I would have done. I think trying to get the Kumbal out there right now.
Kevin drew a Flusterstorm and a Mindbreak trap off that Remora. Like, his hand is great.
Yeah, especially the Mindbreak trap into the Kumbal, because like forcing the Kumbal would have been a little painful, but free Mindbreak trap. Oh, saving it. So could have been a Mindbreak trap there, saving it, and by saving it, plays around the Flusterstorm, which I wouldn't have done, but was absolutely correct.
Flusterstorm is so Flusterstorm battles on Magic Online are so tedious because you have to click through.
Yeah,
I have thrown away games by clicking on the wrong card. Just
yeah. There's always that Magic Online excitement when your opponent plays Flusterstorm and you're like, well, maybe they're going to target the wrong thing.
Got to put on your reading glasses for that one. Just which ones are mine?
Just need little arrows. Little arrows would go a long way.
I'll never forget when the arrows were implemented. Ricochet was losing his mind. Like, I remember watching that stream and he was like, "What does this do? Why is this fighting here?" And just,
oh man, I was hoping it was going to come out. It was so organic.
He's such a good sport about it.
Oh, he's great. All right, so that exchange feels like it worked out really well for Kevin. He comparatively, his hand looks a lot better now than it did before. On the other hand, Randy's cards in hand are better than the cards Kevin has right now.
Yeah,
but he's down. He's down a few of them.
Yeah.
So Randy can preordain or Knight's Whisper and pay a mana, pay 4 mana to stop drawing a card, or just go for it.
Yeah, Randy's managed to exhaust Kevin temporarily. You know, Kevin is down to just a Flusterstorm, but that Remora, it can just help him refuel again. And I just wonder how long Randy can kind of keep this going.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. Now Randy's the one with all the counter magic.
Yeah, that's not bad. Though with that Academy in play, that Remora is staying out as long as Kevin wants it to.
Yeah.
An easily hard castable Gush, if desired.
I can honestly say I've never had the pleasure of casting Gush. I know.
Of any sort?
No, I've never. No, Menendian gave me the book, and then I used it to hold up my computer monitor for a couple of months.
Wow, you know.
And then I eventually read it, but it wasn't priority.
Fair enough. I mean, drawing cards for no mana is quite good, but now if it let you return Bazaars.
Yeah, I mean, I have cast a Recall with Dredgers. That feels amazing.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah. So Randy's just playing the pay for each time game for now. Now he can't really go off without Kevin drawing a ton of cards, but
yeah,
you can just slowly set up a hand.
Caracas.
The third outcome. See, I would have put the outcome on the bottom, which is why outcome is not the deck for me.
Yeah, I mean,
like, this is too
if you're
many.
Randy, though, is there an argument for just because he has 3 outcomes in hand? Is there an argument for just kind of jamming them? Of just like, okay, here's one, fine, you've dealt with it. We'll just do it again next turn.
Yeah, so there's definitely an argument for that. It's still 3 cards. It's just like playing an ancestral end of turn. There's nothing wrong with that. With 1 more mana, he could just throw one out and pay the 4 off Remora, though who knows if that's right. I'm trying to see. I know Randy has a handful of repeals, so I don't know if his plan is to something you get by holding on to them is like, find the answer to Remora, bounce it in turn.
Kevin's got Time Walk.
Time Walk. Looking with the top.
Now Kevin can just find, the vault and just, stall with the Remora and slam it.
That's true. The key in play just represents this permanent scary business. So yeah, the top, I'm sure we've seen this in the VSL millions of times, but the old top key combo represents some long-term advantage for Kevin. So Randy really has to think about it.
Ooh, Lavinia.
Not a bad draw.
Yeah, Randy does a Caracas, though. That darn Caracas.
That's true.
But Kevin also has one of his own.
Just for parody, you know.
I do like that people are finding ways to deal with Lavinia. I remember when the card was spoiled, there was very much this chicken little mentality of everybody's, we're just done. And so it's nice to see people, we kind of went through the stages of grief where it's like, we're at the acceptance stage where it's like, all right, you got to bring Caracas, you got to bring answers. And that's good to see.
Yeah, I think people overreacted from the beginning. I mean, it's a great card. I do not think for a second it is not a great card, but it's a 2/2 creature. You can pyroblast it. You can lightning bolt it. Yeah. People are cutting stony silences for them. If you want to answer it, you can answer it.
Yeah.
Now, does it cost you something? Of course it does, and that's good. Force outcome to run a Caracas.
Yeah, I like that, Wizards kind of takes those risks and tries to make cards for older formats without necessarily targeting a certain deck. Like it would have been very easy for them to make something that was very clearly attacking Shops or attacking Dredge or whatever, but it's so broad, and I really like that.
Yeah. It's not just this linear anti-outcome card.
Like there's not a deck in the format that is not affected by that card. Like when you think about that and you're like, like that's good design.
Some people I've talked to don't like the fact that it's asymmetrical, but I do. I think, that can sometimes be annoying, but I don't. A symmetrical version of this card would force you to be playing a bad deck, and instead you gets to help so many decks out.
That Remora is still kicking.
You don't see 8 counters on those very often. And he barely notices it. Still has 5 mana up after that.
Yeah, that inevitability is there. If you're Randy, what are you waiting for? Because I look at this hand and I want to charge in.
Yeah, So a repeal for sure, right? If Randy has a repeal and bounces the Remora end of turn, then you can play outcome 4 times on his turn probably
I
win.
think the scoreboard is wrong. I think Randy won that one, the first
Yes, the scoreboard is
one. Yeah,
wrong.
we can get that fixed.
Yeah. So Kevin's looking now, and Ancestral's the easy get, but maybe an outcome. Draw has even more cards than Ancestral. Seems pretty good. I was going to mention Repeal as something that resets Remora, but outcome also resets Remora.
Oof.
So I don't think he doesn't have the mana now, but
okay. And we got the score updated, so thank you, chat, for catching that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And Randy knows Kevin has outcome. He knows he's going to go for it on his upkeep. All right, so we got an end step outcome. Paying the 4.
Okay.
Now
we fight.
Yeah, and you can only play that 4 once. That cuts him off of the Flusterstorm. All right, so it doesn't fight over it. Leaves
I
counter
like
magic.
That.
Yeah, it makes sense. Ooh,
Tendrils
is interesting here because depending on how this turn plays out, both players could be playing a lot of spells, and just Tendrils that you don't have to shoot her for could just come out of nowhere at the end of it.
Yeah.
So Randy has to decide if he wants to go for it or pass, and he knows that Kevin is going to go for the outcome.
I want to go for it. I'm just chomping at the bit here. I'm like one of those, you see those dogs with like the electric collar and they just want to charge out in the yard and the fence just zaps them. Like that would be me. Like I would just be charging out and getting yanked back.
Yeah, I mean, it's things don't look too great if he passes, right? And there's a lot of ways that going for it right now could go very, very well.
I look at Kevin's board and I see the inevitability there, and I'd want to close it one way or the other. I just don't see giving Kevin all of this time ending well for me.
Yeah, and we know that the decks aren't running a ton of counters.
Yeah.
So Randy probably doesn't expect 3 counters out of Kevin, and we know that Kevin only has 1. Let the first one resolve. The second one is going to be even scarier. This is, yeah, I think Randy's in a position where he just has to kind of hope that outcome outdraws the Remora.
Yeah.
So the Mind's Desire is sort of huge too.
I love Mind's Desire. When we were getting ready for the last VSL, I putzed around with DPS a little bit, and it had Mind's Desire. And I remember a game where I was just, it was now or never. And I Mind's Desired for like 3, and it was like the perfect 3. And I was like, and it was like a good cigarette where you're just like, just taking it in, just like, it was amazing.
That's fantastic.
I know one of my co-hosts was so upset when they made the Storm, and they made like the Storm dual deck, and they sold it in like stores. And my friend was like, "You can't sell Storm in Walmart." And I was like, "Yes, you can. Like, this is fine. Like, teach the kids. Come on,
You gotta learn sometime,
right? Come on, Timmy will teach you Storm." I have friends who have children, and I said they can come over to Auntie Erin's house. I'll teach them how to dredge. It's fine.
So the Mind's Desire and the Tendrils are both kind of must answers that can only be answered by a Flusterstorm or a Mindbreak Trap. So depending on how Randy times it, those could still win even through a control heavy hand. And it doesn't look like Kevin's drawn any counters besides that Flusterstorm he already had.
Yeah.
Though it is for certain at this point that Randy is going to try to win this turn.
I like that plan.
Yeah, there's no way that Randy passes here for under any circumstances.
Yeah, this game is definitely a love letter to the people who think that Vintage is a turn 1 format. We've certainly seen those games, but I love the games like this where every play and every line matters.
Mm-hmm. You know, lovely Mr. Gamora. It is a turn 9 format. Yeah. I'm trying to wrap my head around the lines Randy could do here, and it just so rapidly. There's so many directions to go.
Yeah.
It's impossible to nail down.
And it also comes down to like what kind of player you are. You know, I can mention earlier that I would just charge in there, and there are other people who might play a little differently based on their own experience and their own play style. And so I think that's really cool.
I mean, Kevin has an interesting decision here too, where basically he has to decide with those counters. Am I willing to counter anything except the last spell? Like maybe you just have to do that. You want to counter something somewhere kind of in the middle, but in this game, it almost felt like it was too late once the cards started getting drawn.
Yeah.
Which honestly, really, Randy sitting on those 4 outcomes really paid off.
Yeah.
I don't know if would it be as easy to walk through counters without having so many of them.
Another outcome.
Yeah, Kevin's got to decide if this is the one to counter or not, but it almost feels a little too late. If this does get countered, Randy still at least has enough mana. Well, has enough mana to tendrils. Or Mind's Desire.
Does Kevin have a force? No.
I don't see, unless it's off the.
Okay, so Kevin has to use that Flusterstorm to deal with. Oh, he let him have it.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
So I'm gonna look at Kevin's deck real quick, get a handle on what kind of counters we're talking about here.
So Kevin, as far as I can see, the only counter he has is a Flusterstorm.
Mm-hmm.
And so if Randy can find a fluster of his own, he can fight the battle. I think Randy has this.
Yeah, I'm looking right here. I think Kevin only has, unless I'm missing something, only 2 Flusterstorm in the deck, 1 Mindbreak Trap for force. And we've already seen the Mindbreak and one of the Flusterstorms, so I think Kevin could draw his whole deck and it would still be pretty tough here.
Yeah. Now, Randy has to be careful to not play with his food here because every card that he needlessly casts is going to give Kevin more looks. And he's gotten pretty lucky so far in that the Remora draws have not been great. Mm-hmm. But if he can just get it over with without any flair, he needs to do that.
I do wonder if this is if Kevin's deck is kind of like the extreme end for what you can run Remora in. Mm-hmm. I mean, Remora's been around forever, but I first saw it getting popular years ago in a pure control deck that was running like extra pitch counters, like 4 force of will and some number of misdirection and all the free counters you can get. And the theory being, my opponent makes me draw 10 cards on their combo turn, I'll always draw. Now you don't have to run commandeers to run Mystic Remora. I mean, I want to see that, but you don't have to.
You're a monster.
Oh, but at some point, like if you had literally no counters in your deck, then Remora is not super exciting. So I'm wondering if outcome, it seems right on that edge where it almost, it's only so useful for the turn where you go off.
Randy's up to storm count 21.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining the Flusterstorm battle that's about to happen. Like it's gonna crack. That's gonna break the internet right there. Just
that's true.
Tendrils, the clusters.
Now, if and I hope this doesn't happen because it'll ruin Magic Online. But if the storm gets high enough and Randy gets enough mana, he can tendrils right through the Flusterstorm. Because you can only put multiple Flusterstorms on so many copies, right? if you have 10 mana, you can pay for 10 copies, which is lethal. And in order, would be terrifying to do that from a UI perspective, but it could happen that way. Randy is not quite. He's got 26 cards in his deck. Storm's at 23, so you can't quite desire for the
That's
entire
like a
deck.
Tuesday for me. It's fine.
But just, you want to see the desire hit every card. Not every card, but 3. Come on.
It's funny. I was streaming with a friend the other day, and my deck got very, very low, like down to like 4 cards. And he was like, "Aaron, we gotta stop. We got it." I'm like, "What do you mean? This is fine." Like, I remember somebody at Eternal Weekend said, "You're not playing Vintage unless you're in danger of decking yourself." And I've never felt more seen in my entire life. So someone's vamping. Vamping in response to... That's Randy's Merchant Scroll because it's black bordered. I remember that.
Yes. Yeah, I think Kevin's vamping in response to the Merchant Scroll. In response to the trigger, so
Yeah.
he'll draw whatever he vamps.
Kevin's hand. I see a Mentor. I see...
Yeah, so whatever... that gives him the ability to put a force on top of the deck. But probably what's happening. Yeah.
So there's Yogwell.
But at this point, forcing the scroll just seems Randy does not really mind. I guess he's got the card, so. And also, by Kevin making that vamp play, Randy knows that is the only force that Kevin has.
Yeah. Kevin's still sitting on at least a Flusterstorm, though, if I remember correctly. It's towards the left.
Yep. Flusterstorm is still there. But if Kevin uses that, I think it's over. It's probably over anyway, but
yeah,
we'll see.
Randy's at Storm 27.
Yeah. Now enough to my desire. Library.
God, I wish. A mind's desire for 27 must feel like a really good hug. Like when someone just like smell your hair, like a good hug, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right, so let's see if I think go for the mind's desire.
Oh, yes.
It's definitely more. I mean, pretty great.
But doesn't he only have like 20 some cards in his deck?
Yeah, just not even going to hit 28 cards. Going to flip over every card in his deck.
Oh my god.
Which should be enough to get there. Even if Kevin had a bunch more counters in his hand, it wouldn't go so well. Randy's going to have access to all 4 forces.
Does Kevin have Ancestral in his hand or his deck? Because he could just deck Randy.
Definitely. I don't know if it's in his hand. It could be. Randy's just going to have. Randy's going to find counters in this process.
Yeah, Kevin does have Ancestral in the deck. I just don't know if he has it.
Well, Kevin's still going to get a chance to draw cards while Randy's
sure.
So, still an opportunity there.
Oof.
Yeah, I don't think Randy's gone through enough forces or counters, though, that because he'll have access to all of them, right? So build to defend anything. I think Randy's used fewer than Kevin has.
So the Mind's Desire found Remora, Soulright, Time Walk, Combo.
Now, that has to go for the Chandler's plan now because Mentor Time Walk won't do it.
It's going to play an Academy.
Yeah, land for turn. Why not? Why not add like 10 mana?
Why not?
All right. Now there's Time Walk, misclick.
That would be hilarious. I was so nervous. I don't have a lot of experience playing Merit Lage, and so I was terrified I was going to click on the wrong Dark Depths. I was like, oh no, oh no.
Yeah.
I played Smokestack for the first time a couple weeks ago, and I had to learn how to stack those babies because.
Oh, especially on Magic Online. There's so many things popping up. It's a lot going on.
Exactly. I think of the stack like a pancake. That's the metaphor that I use.
All right.
Pancakes.
It's a good metaphor.
Who doesn't love pancakes?
It's flawless.
I want pancakes now.
I know, right? Now just thinking of like rewording it, like Mine's Desire, Storm. When you cast Mine's Desire, put X pancakes on the stack. Eat a pancake to take the top card of your deck.
Man. Paradoxical pancakes. There we go.
Paradoxical pancakes.
I'm copywriting that. Thanks, chat. Oh, tendrils. Here we go.
You know that if you no, that's just Infinite Storm. If you have 2 Divining Tops and a Help Awakening, you can put Infinite Pancakes on the stack. No, not all on the stack. But there are ways to get Infinite Pancakes. All right, 31 Storm.
Oh,
Counter on the Ancestral Response, which is awesome, but Randy has so many counters.
Oh no. Oh yeah. Oh. So to be clear, he is trying to kill Randy with a recall, right?
Yeah, Randy's got no cards in library. If Ancestral Resolve, that's it.
It's just never gonna.
Yeah, Kevin would need more counters in his hand than Randy has in his deck.
That would have been so sweet.
It would have been.
All right, so Randy's got this, I think.
Yeah. 32 Storm.
All right.
That is a lot of pancakes.
Yikes.
All right. Yeah, so I mean that matchup definitely could have gone other way. We were very, very close. I don't think I've ever seen Remora draw that many cards and just not come together.
It definitely had an impact on the game, though. We talked about the inevitability, the key vault, and Randy needing to storm off as most efficiently as possible. Where it's very easy for people to just chain all their Moxen, but every one of those Moxen gives him a card, and so I think Randy had to find the right time and the willingness to just sort of bust through, and a lot of things had to come together for him, and it all worked out.
Yeah. That was fun to see. And I did I feel like there were a lot of times I would have played the game differently than Randy, and then all in that last turn it all made sense. It all came together that he was playing for that big turn, just assuming the Remora would never go away. How can I win a game if my opponent is going to draw a card for every spell I cast?
Yeah.
And how you do it is just you gotta have enough artifacts and enough outcomes and just force your way through it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe the next game is you and Mr. Buehler.
Yeah.
All right.
See how I fare against the other outcome deck.
All right. Well, may the pancakes be with you.
I don't know. I'm not playing a storm deck. I don't want as few pancakes as possible. Which sounds like a terrible way to live your life, but
it really does.
Yeah. Maybe I should examine myself, ask some hard questions.
It's very true.
All right. I guess we're going to cut to commercial and